Hi, I'm Josie. Welcome back. We're going to talk about some materials you'll be using to crochet your very first crocheted square. When you go shopping for yarn, you'll see all these little symbols in the back of the yarn. These are telling you what size needles or hooks to use with your yarn. Since we're crocheting, we're using hooks. This is telling us to use an I9 sized hook. Right here it says I. Sometimes it'll say I9, sometimes it'll just say 9. Most of the time, it'll just say I. So that's the right size hook for this yarn. So this is an acrylic yarn. Red Heart Super Saver, I think, is a really good yarn for learning to crochet. It's very tidy. You can see the stitches really nicely, and it's really important that you are able to recognize each stitch before you're really able to sculpt with crochet. You have to understand what they're doing. I think that you want to stick with a medium weight, worsted weight yarn for learning. When you get a little more advanced, you can move on to this fuzzier stuff, but for now, you're not going to be able to see your stitches when you're learning with it. You will notice that when you get going, some people have really tight stitches, some people have really loose stitches, and you might want to adjust the hook against what it recommends here. I like to stitch kind of loose, so a lot of times I pretty much use the same hook they recommend, but sometimes something's just not coming out right. Change the size of your hook, it might help. Over the years, I have collected just about every size crochet hook there is to have. I also think it's really handy to have a little plastic needle. You can also get metal ones, but the plastic ones I think are less threatening. It's great for projects like this where you need to stitch things together. This is a piece of toast that I've made, and it's also an example of a variation of the very basic square. This is just squares. I shaped it a little bit to make a toast shape. I made a separate just long strip of brown, and then I stitched it onto the two squares to make a piece of toast, and of course the butter. And of course you also want to have a very good sharp pair of scissors that you're not using for anything else but yarn and fabric. So you've purchased your worsted weight acrylic good learning yarn, you got the right size hook, maybe a needle and some good scissors. We're ready to get going and learning how to crochet your very first square.